Okay, this video is all about increase and decrease in beadwork. The part that I'm going to tell you about is at the beginning of the row, because at the end of the row, as you can see, here I've increased one bead just by loading on and looming one more bead than I did on the first row. So there's nothing to do there. The action happens when you're increasing or decreasing at the beginning of the row. So right now I'm going to be decreasing 2 beads. So I'm going to turn my loom around. It makes it a little easier for me. If I just put my needle straight through these 2 beads, well, guess what would happen? It would just unloom the beads you just put on. So you must put your needle up between warp thread 1 and 2 in order to capture that thread around the warp thread, and now you can go on through those 2 beads. That's how you get your needle into position. Okay, there we are. Now, I could just put my needle down here between warp thread 2 and 3 and put all my beads and start looming. But the truth is that those beads will always sit on a little angle. They'll never sit perfectly. So to do a proper job, what you need to do is just do 360 degrees around that 3rd warp thread. So just go under the thread and back down again between 2 and 3. Now I've made a circle of 360 degrees around that thread. Well, the nice thing is when I hold this out, look how nicely that thread stands away from the beads. And those beads that I loom now will never be tipping. Okay, so I'm going to turn my loom back around again. And I'm going to pick up some beads. Going to go ahead and loom the rest of the row. Or loom the row, not the rest of the row. Loom the beads. Put them into position. They're always going to sit perfectly because you took that extra moment to do a 360 around that thread. Now you need to bring your needle up to the right of the last warp thread you're using and loom through. And that's how you do a decrease. Notice I'm using the eye of the needle. It's a habit because it keeps you from piercing the warp threads as you loom through. Okay, now let's suppose I want to increase one. That means I want to put an extra bead right here. All you have to do now is drop the needle down the warp thread that you're using. That would be warp thread number 3. Like that. I'm going to turn my loom around again. Get ready. Sorry, it makes it easier for me. Now I'm going to pick up the 1 bead that I'm increasing. Now remember, I did bring my thread around that warp thread, not around it, but just to one side of it. I'll put this bead into position where it belongs, and it belongs right there. I'm going to bring my needle up between warp thread 1 and 2 and loom through. And while I'm looming through, I'm just going to duck right down again with my needle as one stroke, making it possible now for me to just pick up the beads for this round. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up some beads. Oh, you're showing me struggling picking up beads. Okay. I just want to do a few so you can see what I'm doing. Oh, okay, I'm going to put in the rest of the beads for that row. Bring my needle up to the right of the last warp thread I'm using. I'm going to loom through, and I'm going to loom through the beads plus the one I just added. And that's how to do an increase. And that's a proper increase and a proper decrease. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. And these will set up a little better when you continue to loom. I've also used really big size 8 Delica beads so you could see really well what I'm doing. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that.